So, welcome to the Me podcast. This week we're joined by Kate Strong, who I met last year. Amazing lady. Kate, tell us who you are. Well, obviously we know who you are because you're Kate, but and tell us what it is that you do, please.
Wow. Lovely to have me on the show and have you invite me. Who am I? What a deep question to start with. I'm an almost 42-year-old Welsh woman who's travelled the world. And what I do is find moments where I can smile as much as I can every single day.
Oh, how lovely is that? So, how did you get to today? What's your kind of route and upbringing? Give us a little bit of a background.
Very traditional patriarchal family. I've got a younger brother, parents still married. Kind of pushed into doing engineering. So I did very well in school. A good girl, followed orders, didn't ask too many questions. So I've got a double master's in mechanical engineering that I graduated from France and an English university, so I'm bilingual. And
Wow.
very quickly realized that I just do not do well in a very male dominated, kind of sexist environment with high tolerances. I love creative spirit. I see the importance of strategy and systems, but I can't function on a, you need to perform at this certain time of the day. I need that freedom within me. So I didn't last long there. So I went traveling around Latin America quite a bit, helped live with Indigenous communities, help them set up businesses so that they could
Wow.
be more self-sufficient rather than dependent on tourism or handouts, which is how they used to live, and settled eventually in Australia, where I owned and operated a couple of hospitality organizations and businesses.
Wow.
That was about, when was it? I moved there in 2004, 2006, I think. And I moved there with a Welsh guy. We were dating. And after 8 years, he asked me to marry him. And unfortunately, throughout that 8 years, I'd slowly started, I suppose, to corrode myself away,
Okay.
stopped speaking up for myself,
Mm.
allowed his words of cynicism and a bit of meanness to impact my self-worth. And at the end of our 8 years, even though we were engaged to be married, I would say it was a pretty toxic relationship where I was
Yeah.
almost tracked when I left the house. I wasn't allowed to leave without permission.
Wow.
And he left me 6 days before our wedding. So
Wow.
it's funny because I look back and I can't even recognize who I was. But
God.
when I find myself in a position where my life is so out of control, I start to really control the small details. So what that meant in my life was I was emphatically monitoring what I ate, how I looked,
Mm.
what I said. I had to look good. I had to be perfect because my life inside was so broken. So
Wow.
when he left me with a lot of debt as well. Uh, I took a lot of time just to understand how on earth did I let this happen and why did I hate myself so much? Because I could barely look at myself in the mirror without finding some fault or some negative criticism about why I was such a failure and my life was so deserving of where I was. So it took a fair couple of months. And a lot of times I was looking at the bottom of a wine bottle to find the answers. So it's not
Okay.
like I did any favors to myself at the same time either. But I think it was on one of my birthdays. I was at yet another party, yet another drink, yet another excuse, taking the edge off it. And I
Mm.
caught myself after 5 months complaining and blaming him yet again. And I thought, he can't have any impact on today. Now is me. I have to start
Mm.
taking ownership that the
Mm.
crap I'm experiencing now is on me. And so
Wow.
I decided to do something for me. And that's when I started in earnest swimming, cycling, and running. I'd given it
Mm.
up when I met him. I'd always wanted to be an Ironman triathlete. And I
Mm.
just said, today, I'm the youngest I'll ever be. I'll never find a good day because every day seems to be worse than the day before. So shut up, Kate. Suck it up,
Mhm.
princess. Put your trainers on and get out there. And
Wow.
that's what I did. So fast forward 16 months of like 4 a.m. wake ups, giving up alcohol, going plant-based and whole food, like really sort of focusing on my life to be at my optimal loving self. I became a world champion in triathlon. So
Wow.
that's a bit more extensive of who I am. But so every day, what I do today is find somewhere that I've capped my potential settled for mediocrity. And I do my best to find joy in that moment and to be my best, not for the gold medals, not for acknowledgement externally, but just to know in me that there's no part of Kate that I've capped or put a glass ceiling on or not allowed to shine. So that's what I'm
Wow.
on mission-wise at the moment.
That's so cool. I'm just going to jump back to something you said. I mean, but why engineering?
Um, I mean, again, I was very influenced by my parents. It was
Okay.
a safe and secure job.
Mm,
If I graduated, they, a pretty girl like me, to quote my father, would easily
mm,
get a sales job in an engineering firm, and that would set me up for life. So
mm.
I was okay at maths. So it just made sense to them. It was a way of protecting me and giving me that stability that I really didn't want, actually.
It's so funny, isn't it, how we find our paths sometimes have been led by others, not for right and for wrong, in many ways. God, that's fascinating. So here we go. So what have you learnt along the way? I mean, the thing that I just love what you said now is me. That's so powerful. Wow, that's really
Yeah.
strong, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what have you learnt along the way? What have been the real kind of the wake up lessons or?
Um, I can never satisfy everyone because
Oh,
I used to do a lot of things to please my mother, to please others, to make so and so happy, to my
wow.
detriment sometimes. And do you know what? 9 times out of 10, there's always someone I'm going to hurt or insult or,
Mm,
leave them questioning my integrity or my ethics. But the more I'm myself, at least I'm not letting myself down and questioning myself. So
mm.
ironically, the more I think about myself, the more I'm actually helping others too. So I've got quite a selfish mindset at the moment around doing things for me, but I also know that's helping so many more people around me as well.
That's really nice. That's a lovely way to think about it. Because ultimately, if you can't help yourself, then you can't help others, right? I mean, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm a cyclist.
Mm,
Thinking about a bike wheel, if the middle isn't balanced, how on
mm,
earth can you expect the wheel to carry any load? So
I
if
love
I'm
that.
not balanced, how on earth can I help support other people?
I love that. That's really, really nice. And tell us about your latest challenge, because I know that we spoke about this before I started recording, but please tell people what your latest challenge is, which is just amazing.
um, my latest challenge is to set a new world record for the furthest distance cycled in 24 hours on a static bicycle. So, yes, bit crazy.
And, and tell people about, because we were talking kind of off air, if I can say that, of the kind of the emotional kind of questions it's asking of you, because I don't know about anybody listening to this, but I mean I mentioned to Kate, I've done about 2 hours on a static bike, right, on a trainer, that's it, and I don't think I could do 3 or 4, but you've already done, haven't you, sort of 9 hours in the saddle, but
Yeah,
what questions does it ask of you emotionally and psychologically, because they must be vast.
yeah, you're right. I mean, I've attempted similar things in the past, and
Mm,
I think we look at these challenges, these physical challenges, and expect it's only going to be challenging our body, like how how much endurance can my bottom take sitting on that bicycle for 24 hours, or my legs to spin that fast for that long. But it's a huge emotional and mental and spiritual almost roller coaster. I'm left questioning my sanity, but also uh, supporting myself. Like, why am I doing this? We hear this
wow.
buzzword resilience being chucked around a lot. And until we're actually put under the huge
Mm,
obstacle of defining why we're doing this and get over ourselves, the 4 a.m. starts, the
mm,
midnight jumping on the bike and learning how to eat even though I'm nauseous, the
mm,
times when I've felt, for whatever reason, my partner, he's been hugely supportive in bringing me food and helping me when I've been too tired to even shower some days, that
wow.
I snap at him like, for God's sake, I didn't want my food
Mm,
at this time,
mm,
or I didn't like this curry. And I'm like, this isn't me. But I'm
mm.
under so much distress that it really is bringing out so much more of myself that I need to grow so I can get through it. So yes, it's massive, and I'm learning so much more about myself throughout this process as well.
And do you think, I mean, it's interesting actually there when you talk about that kind of the snappy process or the grumpy bits or the rest of it, but in uncovering those and discovering those, you do find more about yourself, don't you?
Oh yeah, yeah. Because it's either a hook of my past, it reminds me of when I was taken
Yeah,
advantage of, or it
yeah.
reminds me of concern of my future, or a part of me that I haven't embraced or acknowledged as present yet. So it's a huge mirror of my reality that I'm living in, those snappy moments, and I retrospectively very grateful for them.
Mm. God, that's amazing learning, isn't it? Because we were saying earlier that the physical side to what you're doing and going to achieve is just extraordinary, but the mental side, all the hours of training, and you were saying about the logistics of what, how many calories did you say that you needed to consume over a 24-hour period?
Yeah, we've calculated around 18,000.
I mean, that's nuts, right? I mean, that's like, and as you said, how the hell do you then, how do you consume food? I mean, you're on a bike. It's not like you can jump off and, go a burger stand. I mean, you've got to do it on the bike, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah, everything. Well, pretty much everything will be on a bike. I'm working with a performance manager. She and I've sat down, and I'm also whole food and plant based. So I'm doing
Mm.
my best, obviously, to avoid processed meal because I find that quite hollow. And we've literally got an Excel spreadsheet, which is when Kate needs to eat and how much. And I need to follow it, even if I'm not hungry, because I might not be hungry now, but in five,
Mm.
6, 15 hours time, that's when I'll start to feel the hunger and I can't ever catch up. I'll never eat 18,000 in a day while cycling at the same time.
Wow, it's just amazing. And in term, I mean, I'm going to ask you really silly practical questions. What about going to the loo?
I can stop. I've chosen not to go on the bike. So I will stop and have micro breaks, but less is better. So then again, that I've been trialing, should we say, how much water to take on because I need to make sure I have that onboarded, but not so much that, the dam is broken, so to speak.
Mm, mm. Wow, wow, that's amazing. So, okay, so here we go. So, what has helped you along your journey to now? Who've been the key people in your life? I mean, you mentioned kind of mum and dad. Are they still around?
Yeah, yeah, they are. They're not they're not a key in this role, so to say. They do help me a lot on the phone call, but I find how they help me is triggering me. So my mother's very, very, very astute at pointing out all the problems that could happen and how I could hurt myself. So I go into these calls to actually listen to her concerns to make sure that I've got them covered. And if
Okay,
I can convince my mum I'm okay, then that means I've actually got pretty much what if scenarios all down pat. But the
brilliant.
main people who support me, and it takes trial and error to make sure that I've got the right people on board. But it's my partner, Kieran. He's been huge in
Mm.
operations because
Oh,
it's not just me on the bike. If we think about it, especially to get it Guinness approved, I
mm.
need about 12 people to witness me to fill in paperwork every single hour. I've got a
Wow,
performance manager, Claire, who tapes me together. If a certain body part is hurting, she'll manipulate it, massage it, correct
wow,
it. She's also got a crew supporter as well, because if she's on break, she's a young mother. So if her 2-year-old son needs her, someone needs to step in to take her role. I'm doing a documentary around this as well. So we've got a couple
wow.
of people taking videos and films and photos around it, and another lady supporting the sponsors to make sure that the people who've financially contributed towards my journey are also rewarded and supported throughout that as well. So yeah, it's colossal behind it, and each one person's got their own questions. I want to make sure that they're fed, they're watered, they have the right
Mm.
breaks. They get back as much from the event as I do. So yeah, it is a full-time job.
God, it's amazing, isn't it? And in terms of sort of sponsorship, because I mean, this doesn't come light, does it? I mean, it's your time and other people's time. I mean, are you able to get sponsorship for something like this?
I have picked up some sponsors for this.
Okay, brilliant.
Most of it's I fund myself, which I'm
Right.
more than happy to bring on more sponsors if anyone out there's interested. And
Mm.
um, but yeah, so we work together. I make sure that the companies I work with, we work as a team. So I really want to avoid the traditional sponsor of you give me money and I put 5 photos on Instagram sort of thing.
Of course.
I want to make sure that our community is elevated. So what we're doing for this world record, because I've got a few more coming up, we are running 1 hour cycle events for each sponsor, so their team can come and join me and cycle.
Oh,
So they
brilliant.
can all set their own micro challenges. Can they beat Kate on a world record cycle? And they're raising money for charities in their own
Wow.
team using my world record as that leverage. So they're
Wow.
creating community thanks to my world record as well. So that's
Oh,
great to
that's so
hear and
cool.
see.
That's really good. So here's a question. So how do you keep going when things are tough? And I know that you say that you don't kind of like that mediocrity and stuff, and that sort of spurs you on. But there must be times where, because one thing you mentioned that you've had to put on, weight in order to sustain, 24 hours on a bike, and that also asks questions of you, doesn't it? I mean, because carrying extra weight is a consideration. So how do you keep going when it really gets tough?
God. Now I can answer that question today because it's a bright day. I'm feeling positive and
Mm,
motivated. But when it's dark, it it's
mm,
almost paralyzing. Like some mornings, there are days I just don't want to. I For whatever reason, I'm not seeing the results, or I feel a bit disenchanted with it all, and
mm,
it is bloody hard.
mm.
And there are tears. I'm very open in crying and expressing my frustration around how I'm feeling. So how I get through it is I firstly let it be without judgment. It's easier
Wow.
said than done, so I practice when I'm feeling happy to not attach to the joy. But I let me have a bad day. I don't have to be, world champion Kate every single day. I can
Mm,
have those. I just want to sit in bed and eat, packet of crisps and watch a binge on
mm.
Netflix. That's okay. If it happens more than once a week, I then need to sort of sit down and reconnect to my why, because every action has a consequence. It
Mm.
doesn't mean it's positive or negative. It just means that what I'm doing will ultimately change my future. So
Wow.
I sit down and just get really real with, that's fine, Kate. If you want to keep doing, I talk to myself third person as well. If you want to keep doing this, Kate, brilliant. But your future will probably look like this. If you're
Wow.
okay with that, carry on. But I would strongly suggest getting out the job searches today and finding a job, because you can't consistently deliver if you're going to stay this way. So
Wow.
it's just about bringing the reality in without the judgment. And usually that one clicks me out. I know this isn't like the positive 5 steps to joy stuff, but that really helps me see the reality. And
No, but I love the honesty in that you give yourself a break. But if it goes on too long, then it's a bit of a like, well, hang on a minute, Kate, what are we doing here? Is this really where we want to end up when we kind of fast forward? I really love that because so many people kind of go, no, you got to get up at 4 o'clock every day, or the 5 o'clock club, or and you got to keep pushing, pushing, pushing. It's not like that, is it? I mean, whether you're Tony Robbins or Andy Harrington or any of those people, no one can keep at that intensity every single day of their life, can they?
no. And if we do, we are completely ignoring the single most power that we have, which is we are human beings that are connected to nature. And
Oh,
nature
that's
is the
lovely.
strongest power we have. And
Oh, that's
even the
lovely.
biggest tree has hibernation. Like we have
Oh,
winter season. And I cannot expect to deliver every day summer if I don't acknowledge the winter. It's unsustainable,
oh,
it's inhumane.
that's so lovely. It's such a nice analogy, or that's really lovely. I love that.
Yeah.
It's
So
really nice.
yeah,
So,
it just gets I'm very the more I it's quite ironic because I'm an engineer. I used to be called
mm,
quite cyborg, like unemotional. I just process driven. But the
mm,
more I'm on this journey, the more I realize that we're spiritual beings. We're here on an emotional journey, and we're here to connect. We're not here
oh,
to measure results and how big is
oh,
this, how
lovely.
small is that, or how long is that. It's all about just feeling it and experiencing life, isn't it?
Oh, it's so lovely. So, what advice would you give your younger self if you could travel back to a 14 or a 15-year-old Kate?
On totally personal, I'd say, please release the guilt. I carried a lot
Oh,
of guilt on how I should behave, how I should perform, how I was letting people down. I would just love to hug my younger self and go, there's no guilt in you doing what you want. Just have fun and you'll be fine.
That's so lovely. That's really nice. And what advice would you like to give to kind of to others?
I'd love people to know that they are capable of more and they don't have to lose what they have today for that striving. We can incrementally grow. It is a
Mm,
long-term process. I am in absolute no rush because I know what the result is, and that end date I can push out as far as I want.
mm,
So just look in the mirror. If you can answer hands on heart that you're happy everywhere, find a way to make sure that you can strive tomorrow to make sure the same is applicable. But if there is an area, just do one small thing today. It might be order a pair of trainers. It doesn't have to be the marathon. Just make sure that every day you're working towards that bigger and brighter future that you know you're capable of when you look in that mirror.
it's really lovely as well. So, what one word would you use to describe yourself? You could have two words and hyphenate them if you like, but one word would be great.
Oh my gosh. Um, Complex. Inspiringly complex.
I like that.
Does that work?
Yeah, absolutely does. I'm just writing it down. It's really lovely. And have you found that through doing the training and the challenges that you've kind of you've set yourself in life, but also have been set for you, have you found that that inspiringly complex has kind of become? I mean, because complex is kind of maybe people could construe as being a kind of a negative word, but in a way, you've kind of unpacked that in a real beautiful kind of natural nature kind of simplicity. And is that what you mean by kind of inspiring, as in understanding your complexities, of which there is beauty in that?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's a lot. What I see a lot is like I'm a woman. I'm a
Mm.
42-year-old woman who's also training for Everest, who's also training to swim the
Oh,
Channel. I'm also
yeah.
an engineer. I'm also a daughter. I'm also a sister. I'm
Mm,
also, there's so many complexities of our own personality. Can't we inspire ourselves? Can't we find motivation by through we're one area we're really proud of, yet the other needs a little pick me up. We can find it within ourselves. So we are complex beings. I think we need to start embracing all those facets.
mm. And what's your kind of? I mean, we've been in with COVID, haven't we, for over a year now? And what's your take on what's happened to us as people, as a society, as a community, both kind of locally and globally? I mean, what's your outtake on all of that?
Um, I mean, I'm a natural. The glass is refillable, aka an
No.
optimist. So I have seen some real beautiful stories within what's happening on a local level. I was nomadic before lockdown actually, so I didn't even have a home. But I moved in with my boyfriend. We'd only been dating a few weeks, and what happened is our local community barely knew each other. I mean, let alone me being here, but a lot of them have been living here 20 plus years. Suddenly, a WhatsApp group was created where we could support people shielding or the more mature neighbours who couldn't get out as easily or showed
Mm,
concerns about being in public spaces. So we actually started to care more about other people and ask about helping them or how are you? Like genuinely, how are you? Not
mm,
just the usual passing comments. So on a very small level, I noticed more compassion for our neighbours, a more community spirit.
mm,
And globally, if I want to look at projections and plans, I think more people are realizing that there's more to life than these GDPs, or, growth plans that we're measuring. I think a lot more
mm,
people are questioning, yes, I'm getting a pay rise, yes, I'm getting promotions, but am I happy?
mm.
Is this it? Am I going to be working like this for the next 30 plus years till I get my retirement and then, go into a home? Like, what is the reason I'm doing this? So I'm really excited because I see more of the world like popping and becoming more aware and asking these
Oh,
conscious questions. So I see this as a huge step towards global transformation, but it is a growing pain. So yes, there comes with it a little bit of getting used to this and being scared as well, and that's fine by me.
that's really lovely. And what legacy would you like to leave behind?
Gosh, I was actually I was just thinking this week because what we haven't talked about is hopefully next year I'm going to be the world's first to cycle across America, 3,000 miles, then swim the Channel, and then climb Everest. And
Wow.
why am I doing this? Because again, that's
Yeah.
it's a bit big, and you can imagine the training and blah blah blah. But I was thinking, what I want is to create a community where everyone is elevated. Yes, there's one or two people who are, the usual pattern of the pinnacles of, oh my God, I'm so inspired by you. These people who have
Mm.
popped and done greatness. But it's now their moral duty to elevate other communities, to hold the space for every person to be able to, whether your background is the same socioeconomically, from race, religion, gender, every person to sort of step up. So what I see it as my role is to stand up as a guide and gatekeeper to make sure marginalized communities get the same access as everyone else.
Wow, that's fantastic. So tell me, so your cycle event is going to be rescheduled this year. Do you know roughly when?
I do. And it's written on my wall. I don't even know it. Right, I've got it. It is, and I'll tell you why I chose the date as well, because I think you'd love this. It's Wednesday, the 26th of May at 3 p.m. I start and I finish Thursday, the 27th of May at 3 p.m. as well.
Wow. And
And
why that particular day?
it's a full moon.
Oh, really?
It is. It's a super moon as well.
And how does that, what significance does that have for you?
Um, when I lived in Australia, I used to always go for full moon runs, full moon overnight hiking, full moon rock climbing, lit to lit by the moon. I find it hugely powerful, and it taps into a little bit more of my even if there is one, a bit more of my wild side. So it's just an amazing energy to be around. And
Wow.
I think also I don't sleep well on full moons, maybe because of the light. So if I've got to cycle nonstop for 24 hours, that's the best time to do it for me as well.
That's so brilliant. And what so how does Kate relax? What's your kind of go-to, I don't know, put the sneakers on. What is it you love doing?
I do I do like cross stitching and quilting. So I've made a few of those recently for I don't have children, but some of my friends do. So I make their kids little signs or quilts or something like that. So that I find really cathartic and relaxing, and it's time for switch off. And
That's brilliant.
with lockdown, I must admit, I haven't owned a TV for ages, like nearly 10 years. I do this at the moment, so I've actually really enjoyed getting into some really terribly intellectual documentaries and films and TV series. When I say intellectual, I don't mean it, but it's just nice to sort of switch off and be human as well.
And are there any particular shows that you've become engrossed in that are just kind of you'd never really like to share publicly and you're going to now? Is there anything that you
I'll
like?
share two. So one is acceptable, the other one is very embarrassing. One is Orange is the New Black. I really enjoyed that. I haven't finished it yet, so please no spoilers. And the other one is True Blood, vampires.
Oh, really? Oh, how lovely. Oh, how lovely.
So yeah, that one's very much, it's very cheesy and corny and predictable, but I think it's cringeworthy. I like cringing.
But the thing is, I find it's interesting actually because I never used to watch much TV either, and like you with lockdown, I've started to binge on Grey's Anatomy, and I know it's kind of it created first in 2005, and it's just complete escapism, isn't it? You don't have to think. I've got to know the people. I kind of see them as my friends, but it's just nice. It's just nice just to completely switch out.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to do it too often. Like I don't watch more than two in a night because you're right, it is so easy. But yeah, it is pleasant, and it reminds me of how other people live. Because I could easily just live in a little cave and live it like completely my own little world. But it's important for me to sort of keep some semblance of what normality is out there as well.
That's so brilliant. Oh, I said to you at the beginning, and I said this to you when I first met you, I love your name, Kate Strong, and you are strong by name and strong by nature. And
Oh,
I know there's just that you just have this, there's a compulsion in you which is so human, but it's just so inspiring as well. I love talking to you. I mean, the times that I have, and thank you so much for your time. It's wonderful to know more about you, and I hope that people feel exactly the same way who listen to this. I really do. Thank you.
you. Thanks, Sid. It's been a pleasure
All
chatting
right.
with you again.
All right. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.